Right, good evening everyone, and this is the Cabinet meeting Monday the 7th of October 2024. May I please have authority to sign the minutes from the last meeting? Thank you. Thank you. Are there apologies for absence, Louise?
Yes, apologies received from Councillor Bayliss, Chair.
Thank you. I believe there's an item withdrawn from this evening's agenda. That's item 8, seeking further consultation. Are there any additional agenda items?
No, there are none.
Thank you. Are there any urgent decisions?
No, there are none.
There's none. Okay, disclosure of interests and dispensations. To receive any disclosures by members of disclosable pecuniary interests and other registrable interests, non-registrable interests in matters on the agenda, and the nature of any interest and details of any dispensations obtained. Members are reminded of the need to repeat their declaration immediately prior to the commencement of the item in question. Okay, so the first item. Right, sorry, Carl, yes.
Yes, thank you very much. Just obviously agenda item 6, I won't bother redeclaring because funnily enough you're going to agenda item 6, but in terms of Rye Sports Centre as an elected member of East Sussex County Council.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, so, excuse me, item 6, this is the report from Rye Sports Centre refurbishments. It's the report of the Head of Neighbourhood Services, but I believe that Councillor Timpey is going to present this report. Yes. Thank you, Hazel.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I hope you've all read it because it's really superb to have got to this point. But the purpose of this report is to seek the authority to take all the necessary steps to spend the £650,000 Levelling Up Partnership Fund, which was allocated by the then Department of Levelling Up Housing and Communities, better known as DLUC, and it's now Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, which I don't think we can say that in an antonym. But it's all about the refurbishment of Rye Sports Centre. It's hoped that much of the refurbishment work will be completed and the LUP funding spent by the 31st of March 2025. But this report seeks to defray any remaining funds to appropriate third parties if necessary, so that any outstanding work can be completed by the final deadline of the 31st of March 2026. The funding will make a significant difference to the look and ambience of the site, thus encourage more sport club memberships, hopefully, increase participation rates and improve health and well-being in the community. In conclusion, the Council has been successful in receiving this grant funding, and the resulting refurbished Rye Sports Centre will boost local economic growth and improve the centre's sustainability over the longer term. This project is a win-win for both the community, which will benefit from a regenerated sports centre, and the sports centre operator, who will be able to attract more members. I therefore fully support this project and request Cabinet approve the recommendations as set out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? I've got one with Councillor McCork, and I've got one online with Councillor Paul Osborne. Can I just ask a question regarding the actual drawing down of the funds in order to complete the work? What's the mechanics behind that? How will that be operated and worked?
We are procuring a contractor who will manage the project for us and also procure the contractors to do the work, and the invoices will come to us and we will pay them from the Rother account. Yes.
The whole fund is controlled by ourselves on an accounting basis. That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. If I can invite Councillor Paul Osborne. Paul?
Thank you, Chairman. Obviously I would welcome this funding obviously coming to Rye Sports Centre. Many years ago, I actually chair a small subcommittee that appointed the contractor to build it in the first place. I welcome this sort of investment, which is probably needed after 20 odd years. Obviously, we're going to be tight with getting the money out the door by March, but that's all sort of looks like it's taken care of. Does this include, or is there another fund for the sort of decarbonisation of the building with solar panels and heat pumps? So that's one sort of question I've got. And sort of how much of the actual fund will go on management fees as opposed to the sort of the works, if that's sort of available? Thank you.
Okay, Paul, thanks for that question. Deborah was nodding, so with an affirmative, aware of the questions. I'm sure she's got the answers.
Thank you. Yes, there is another funding that RAI has benefited from, and that's for solar panels provided. The funding's provided by the Sport England grant, and that's to put solar panels on the roof for the centre, and that will certainly help decarbonise and reduce utility costs as such. With regards to the split of the consultants' management of the project and then the procurement, we are waiting for the final figures on that. Once we understand the scope of the works, which we're waiting for at the moment, we'll understand the split. It's a question procurement have asked us as well. So that's still work in progress, but the majority of it will absolutely go on the refurbishment side of things. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Councillor Simon McCurtain. Simon?
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to take the opportunity to express my sincere thanks to Councillor Hazel Timby and the other officers who have worked tirelessly to secure the vital capital for this project on behalf of Rye Leisure Centre, and especially for all users of the centre. The partnership between Rother District Council, Rye Town Council, East Sussex and the CIO has been incredibly productive, and their hard work is really paying off. As someone who uses the leisure centre several times a week, although not sufficiently enough, I witness firsthand the benefits of the well-resourced, well-run facility. Every visit reminds me of just how essential the centre is to the community, and I also want to take the opportunity to commend the staff. They are without doubt our greatest asset. Their dedication is second to none. But as much as we benefit from the centre, it's really important to remember that the people of Rye, Winchelsea and surrounding areas need to continue to support it, not just by using the facilities, but also by contributing to fundraising led so ably by the CIO at the moment. And these funds ensure we have what we need to make the changes required for the future. While I'm hugely grateful for the funding that has been allocated, I've been asked many times about the apparent disparity between funding Rye is receiving and the apparently large amount allocated to Bexhill Leisure Centre, and that is a valid question. Why is this the case, especially when the Alliance at the Labour group's request ensured that there would be parity between the two centres' funding? It's important to hear more about the disparity, particularly given the strong strategic intent Rother has shown in this area, led by Councillor Timby at a member level, and which officers have enacted so ably. So in conclusion, I'd just like to reaffirm my gratitude for the hard work and support of everyone involved, but to ask again, can we hear more detail behind what is perceived as a discrepancy between the two projects? Thank you.
Well, there was only one pot, and there was a significant amount to be able to disperse to other things, but is there someone that can just give me, and I think Deborah is well placed to respond to that.
Thank you. As I said earlier, they've also benefited in Rye from the Sport England grant funding, which we didn't get for Bexhill. They also benefited from revenue funding to support the port, sustain it, keep it open for users. If you remember, it was closed at one stage, so that helped it to reopen. And they've also got this LUP funding. But when it comes to looking at other projects for the Bexhill leisure centres, perhaps, that is part and part is quite unique. It's quite different to the LUP funding for the Rye Sports Centre in that it is co-joined with house building. So the Bexhill Leisure Project, although they've got a substantial amount of money towards potentially a new leisure centre there, it's also combined with a housing development around that site. So obviously Bexhill has a higher population and needs a large amount of housing, as we know. So the two projects there go hand in hand. So it's quite a unique set of circumstances. I hope that helps answer the question.
Thank you. That's really clear, Deborah, and it helps to explain to residents the difference in funding. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for the explanation, Deborah. So someone's going to move this report. Hazel, move it. And someone's going to second the report. Thank you, Rory. And those in favour? And this really is good news, because it wasn't that long ago where we thought the whole lot was going to go down the plug. But no, it really was a difficult time, a very difficult time. So I think to be able to rescue it like this and create this is a real plus factor. And I think that everyone involved will be acknowledged the fact that they've brought this around. So thank you very much indeed. So we can move on to the next item. Item 7. This is the Public Spaces Protection Order. A report of Richard Parker Harding, Head of Environmental Services, Licensing and Community Safety. So the purpose of the report to make a PSPO controlling antisocial behaviour from the 1st of February 25. Are you going to present this, Richard, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the Council currently has 3 public spaces protection orders, one controlling dogs, or really they're the owners of dogs rather than dogs themselves, and one that controls antisocial behaviour, which includes controls on aggressive begging, drinking alcohol in public places and sleeping in public places. And the third order, which we made back in June, was to prohibit parking on beaches in Rother. In June, the Cabinet agreed to carry out public consultation over the summer to see whether the public still supported the current Public Space Protection Order dealing with antisocial behaviour, which expires in January, and also to find out from the public whether there are any other forms of antisocial behaviour which we ought to be controlling. The results of the public consultation showed strong support for the existing controls, which we know, I think we enforce in a graduated way and have safeguards in place, particularly around stopping people sleeping in public places. We always provide assistance to those homeless people before considering any enforcement action. But one of the things also we would try to find out from the public was whether there was any other things they wanted us to control. There were lots of responses, but there wasn't really any cohesion around specific problem areas or specific problems which we could adopt new controls to cover. And therefore, the recommendation of this report is that we make a new public spaces protection order starting in February, when the other 2 orders expire, to include the existing 3 controls and also include the prohibition of parking on beaches. Some of the public comments also referred to extending the dog controls, specifically at Rye Harbour in the nature reserve there, which we obviously need to consider in the future as part of reviewing the dog control order. The thing about public space protection orders is they can be introduced at any time, so if there's any particular issue we can introduce them reasonably quickly. But my recommendation is that we go ahead and make this, renew this public space protection order for antisocial behaviour, including the prohibition of parking on beaches. What we have to do is a further statutory consultation with the Police and Crime Commissioner, East Sussex County Council and the affected parishes.
Thank you very much indeed, Richard. If any members want to ask a question, I think that Aaron.
Thank you, Chair. Just to declare an interest, I am a member of Sussex Wildlife in terms of Rye Harbour.
Right.
I'm also a member of the Excel Environmental Group as well, in terms of consultation.
Thank you. Catherine. Can I come back to you, Rory, or should I come back to whatever? Yeah.
If you'd like to go to Councillor McCourt first, I was just going to propose it and say a very few short words.
Rory.
Thank you, Chair. I support it with some reservations. I think it should be said that even the police themselves have said, while they recognise it's a good tool, this order, that they're not aware of any issues around rough sleeping or begging, certainly in the Bexhill area, which you put that down to the good work of the PCSOs. And far be it from me to question the work of the PCSOs, but I would say it's also the good work of council officers and some of our local voluntary sector groups, such as Warming Up the Homeless and the Homeless Unity Group, who've done some sterling work with some of the most vulnerable people in our society. I think it should be said also that if you look at page 20, the issues around alcohol, nuisance behaviour, begging and rough sleeping, while it is an issue, it's a social problem and it's not something that can be dealt with through criminal or civil powers of this nature. So I would hope that these powers are used sparingly and only as a last resort. And as is mentioned in the report, that those who are very vulnerable and have these problems, and they end up in the streets, let's be honest, through mental health and usually drug addiction issues, not through any choice of their own. Rough sleeping isn't a lifestyle choice, as some of the more antediluvian members of the last government would have you believe. It's something that requires political solutions, and I hope we will get political solutions as we go forward. So while I do support this, I do think it should be used sparingly, and that vulnerable people should be signposted to services, and all our services are under a huge amount of pressure. But that is the right course of action, to be empathetic and to be understanding, instead of reaching for the powers that we may give people to deal with the problem, which is a social problem. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you for making those points, Rory. Sam, did you want to make a comment, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to echo Councillor McCourt, and as I said in my portfolio holder comments in the report, I think it is crucial, because I remember when these first came in, there was a lot of discussion around the sort of misuse of these orders to basically I think the phrase was criminalise homelessness, and that was what we didn't want to happen. And I'm so far that's not happened. I think it's very important that we, this is a tool that if our officers and if the police and those who are carrying out duties in the community need them in order to deal with issues of public safety, that they have them there at their disposal. But in actual fact, as we know, when our officers, or when people go to find people sleeping on the street, these are not their first port of call. It's very much offering them help, offering them assistance, trying to find them somewhere to live, putting them in touch with the relevant services, etc. And it's only in a very sort of small minority of cases where these orders sadly become necessary. But I echo Councillor McCourt's words, and it's all about leading with compassion, but having the framework there that if it's needed, we can draw on it. I think that's the balance that Richard's drawn very well in this report.
I'll leave it with Councillor Catherine Field to move the report.
Yes, I will move the report and say, in my experience, people are very, very quick to complain. And I have had no complaints at all about any of the issues covered by this order, nor have I had any complaints about heavy-handed policing in implementing this order, nor any complaints about heavy-handed implementation by our own members of staff, which leads me to conclude that it's working well. I think people do feel safe in this district, and I have not witnessed any of the issues outlined in the report. And I think it's a good support to the police to free them up to do things other than police rough sleeping and begging, etc. So I'm very happy to move this report.
Thank you, Sam. Those in favour? And that's unanimous. And thank you very much, Richard, for the report. Thank you for those who have made comments this evening. We move on now. We skipped item, whatever it was, 8, and we jump forward to agenda item 9. The short-term licence of Sidley Recreation, or Sidley Rec football pitcher to Bexhill AA C Football Club. This is Deborah's report, and I think Councillor Timpey is going to present this report, and that's an affirmative from Deborah.
Oh dear. Okay, this is really just a very short report seeking approval to enter into the licence with the Bexhill Amateur Athletic Football Club for the maintenance of the football pitch at Sidley Recreation Ground. We need to realise this is an interim measure until a licence is granted to the Heart of Sidley Community Association following the completion of the new community hub, which I know everyone's really excited about. Bexhill Amateur Athletic Football Club wish to continue playing football at the Sidley Recreation Ground prior to the Heart of Sidley taking on responsibility for the pitch. This avoids the club having to find temporary grounds elsewhere while the hub is in construction. It is intended that the club will then come to a mutually beneficial arrangement direct with the Heart of Sidley to continue using the pitch once all the new facilities are in place. Alongside the other sports clubs in our communities, the club plays a valuable role in providing children, young people and adults with opportunities to participate in active outdoor pursuits. I fully support this proposal and recommend it to Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hazel. Are there any questions? Councillor Sam Coleman.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'd like to second this proposals and just to say I'm not going to use this as an opportunity to talk about the incredible new community hub that's coming to Sidley, nor the incredible skate park and BMX facility next door that's a triumphant success of this administration, nor any of the other incredible things we're doing in Sidley. But this club are in Sidley all the time, they're playing football, and this helps them to keep doing that whilst things are changing over. So I support it and I second it. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you for that hot news, Sam. Hot off the press. Can I just ask a question about the maintenance of the pitch? I see that the football club are interested in taking on the maintenance. Is that, at what stage have we got to there, and have they got the resources to take that on?
Yes, that is the plan, that they will take it on for themselves, just for the interim period. They're aware of that, and they've got plans in place to do that. And then once it goes over to Hoscar or Heart of Sidley, then they will come to their own arrangements separately.
Excellent. It's just another bit coming together for the Heart of Sidley work that they've done, their initiative, the hub that's gone there, and just another part of the jigsaw that's in place. So I think, Hazel, you've moved this report, and I think someone was going to second this report. Looks like it's Sam. Those in favour? And that is unanimous, and I think that basically concludes where we are this evening. So the meeting will close at some point in time. Are we there? 18:53. 18:53, I'm told. Thank you very much indeed, and we're off air.